In the vast darkness between stars, where reality itself bends under the weight of subspace and temporal mechanics, something impossible happened. A man who could move worlds collided with a universe built on the belief that no single being should hold such power. The United Federation of Planets, with its democracy of species and its careful balance of exploration and restraint, was about to meet the one force its philosophy could never account for: a God who refused to stop caring. What happens when absolute power meets a society that fears it? What happens when the Man of Steel discovers a galaxy that doesn't want to be saved? If you want to see more legendary characters collide with the Star Trek universe, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a hero or villain you'd want to see navigate the final frontier. Live long and prosper. Now let the collision begin. The Romulan neutral zone had been quiet for 17 days. Too quiet, Captain Jean-Luc Picard thought as he reviewed the sensor logs in his ready room aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D. The Romulans were never quiet without reason. They probed, they watched, they waited with the patience of predators who had perfected the art of war over millennia. But for 17 days, nothing. Not a whisper across the subspace bands. Not a single cloaked vessel detected by their upgraded tachyon detection grids. Just silence, stretching across the border like a held breath before the scream. Commander William Riker's voice cut through the ship's intercom with an edge Picard rarely heard from his first officer. "Captain, to the bridge, immediately." The word immediately carried weight. Riker didn't panic. He didn't exaggerate. If he said immediately, reality itself was unraveling. Picard moved through the Enterprise's corridors with controlled urgency, the hum of the warp core thrumming through the deck plates beneath his boots. Crew members pressed themselves against the walls as he passed, reading the tension in their captain's stride. The turbo lift deposited him onto the bridge in seconds, and what he saw on the main view screen stopped him mid-step. Space was tearing open. Not a conventional wormhole with its elegant funnel of gravitational forces. Not a subspace rupture with its predictable energy signatures. This was something else entirely. Something that made the ship's sensors scream contradictory data across every station. The rift hung in space like a wound in reality itself. Bleeding colors that had no name in any language. Crimson and gold and something beyond the visible spectrum that made the human eye water to perceive it. The edges of the tear rippled with energy readings that fluctuated between impossible extremes. Absolute zero and the heart of a star. Matter and antimatter coexisting, time moving forward and backward simultaneously. "Report," Picard commanded, his voice cutting through the alarm klaxons that Worf had triggered from tactical. Lieutenant Commander Data's fingers flew across his ops console with android precision, his golden eyes processing information faster than any biological mind could comprehend. "Captain, the phenomenon defies classification. It is not a wormhole, spatial anomaly, or temporal distortion as we understand them. Sensors indicate it originates from a dimensional frequency completely outside our universal constants. The energy signature suggests a collision between two fundamentally incompatible realities." "Life signs?" Picard asked, though he wasn't sure why. Nothing could survive the forces that Rift was generating. The radiation alone would vaporize anything organic in seconds. "Negative, Captain. No life signs?" However, Data paused, which was unusual enough to draw every eye on the bridge. I am detecting something. A single object emerging from the rift. Metallic composition, humanoid configuration, velocity decreasing rapidly. On the view screen, something blue and red tumbled through the void, limbs splayed, clearly unconscious or dead. The figure was humanoid, male by proportions, wearing what appeared to be a skin-tight uniform in primary colors that would have looked ridiculous if not for the sheer wrongness of seeing a body floating in hard vacuum without a suit. No ship, no debris, just a man, suspended in the killing emptiness of space. "Shields up, red alert," Picard ordered. "Data, scan that object. Is it a weapon? A probe?" Data's console erupted with conflicting readings. "Captain, sensors cannot penetrate its outer surface. Whatever material comprises that being's body, it is denser than any known substance. Tricorder readings suggest it should not exist under our physical laws. Mass readings fluctuate. Energy readings are... Sir, if these readings are accurate, that single being is generating more energy than our entire warp core at full capacity." Counselor Deanna Troi leaned forward in her seat beside the captain's chair, her empathic senses straining across the distance. Her face went pale. "Captain, I sense life, incredible life, pain, confusion, but underneath it, something else. Power, raw, limitless power, and..." She hesitated, her betazoid mind struggling to articulate what she felt. "Goodness. Strange as it sounds, I sense profound goodness." The figure on the view screen stirred. One arm moved, then the other. The head lifted, and even across the vast distance, the bridge crew could see eyes open. Eyes that began to glow with heat that registered on thermal sensors as exceeding 15,000 degrees Kelvin. "Impossible," Worf growled from tactical, his Klingon instincts screaming danger. "Nothing survives vacuum. Nothing generates that kind of energy without antimatter reactors." The figure straightened, floating in space with impossible grace, and turned to face the Enterprise. For a moment, those glowing eyes locked onto the view screen, and every person on the bridge felt seen, examined, judged by an intelligence that was clearly not human despite its appearance. Then the glow faded, replaced by blue eyes that held confusion and something that looked disturbingly like hope. The being moved. Not with thrusters or propulsion systems, but simply moved, accelerating from 0 to thousands of kilometers per second in an instant, heading directly toward the Enterprise. "Evasive maneuvers," Picard commanded. "Full impulse. Pattern Delta 7. The Enterprise's massive saucer section pivoted with surprising grace for a ship of its size, Ensign Ro Laren's hands dancing across the con controls. But it didn't matter. The figure adjusted course mid-flight, matching their maneuver with contemptuous ease. In 3 seconds, it crossed the distance that should have taken minutes. In 5 seconds, it was alongside the ship, keeping pace at full impulse as if it were the most natural thing in the universe. "It's matching our speed exactly," Data reported. "Captain, that being is traveling at 1/4 light speed without any visible means of propulsion. The energy expenditure required for such an act is beyond calculation." The figure raised one hand and waved. Actually waved, as if greeting neighbors across a fence rather than making first contact with an alien vessel in the most dangerous region of known space. Then it pointed at itself, at the Enterprise, and then made a gesture that was universal across any species, a questioning tilt of the head. It wanted to come aboard. Picard stood, straightening his uniform in a gesture that was pure reflex in moments of crisis. "Mr. Worf, what are our tactical options?" Worf's response was grim. "None, Captain. Phasers would take 30 seconds to recalibrate for a target at this range moving at this speed. Photon torpedoes would not arm in time, and based on these energy readings, I am uncertain our weapons would affect it at all." Outside the view screen, the figure waited. Patient, hopeful, impossibly alive in the void of space. Inside the Enterprise, 500 souls held their breath, waiting for their captain to make first contact with something that defied everything they knew about life, physics, and the possible. Picard looked at the being floating beside his ship and made the only choice a Starfleet captain could make when faced with the unknown. "Transporter Room 3, lock onto those coordinates. Bring it aboard. Containment field ready. Security team standing by. And God help us all if we're making a mistake." The figure on the view screen smiled, as if it could hear through the vacuum and the hole and understood everything, as if it had been waiting for exactly this invitation. Then it vanished in a column of golden light as the transporter beam took hold, pulling something impossible into the very heart of the Federation's flagship. The Transporter Room 3 materialized the impossible with clinical precision. Chief Miles O'Brien watched his console readings spike into ranges he'd never seen in 15 years of service as the golden beam coalesced on the platform. Matter stream was stable, pattern buffers holding, but the energy readings flooding through the system made his hands hover over the emergency abort controls. Whatever was materializing on that pad was generating enough power to run a small star base. The beam faded. A man stood where nothing should survive. Tall, powerfully built, wearing a blue bodysuit with a red cape and a stylized S emblazoned across his chest in red and gold. Black hair, chiseled features that belonged on ancient Earth statues of gods, and eyes that held the blue of Earth's sky before humanity reached for the stars. He looked human. Every sensor said he wasn't. Lieutenant Worf stood ready with 12 security officers, phasers set to heavy stun, positioned in a defensive semicircle around the transporter platform. The containment field hummed at maximum strength, a barrier of coherent force that could hold a raging Klingon or a hostile Romulan. The man in blue looked at it with curiosity, then gently pressed one finger against the shimmering barrier. Sparks erupted. The field buckled. Alarms shrieked as power consumption spiked to dangerous levels. "Containment field at 40%, O'Brien shouted, his Irish accent thickening with stress. "Whatever he's doing, it's draining power like he's made of antimatter." The man pulled his finger back immediately, raising both hands in a universal gesture of peace. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to damage anything." His voice was deep, calm with an accent that matched no Federation database. Standard English, but the pronunciation belonged to no known colony or Earth region. "Please, I need help. I don't know where I am." Worf stepped forward, phaser aimed at center mass. "Identify yourself, species, origin, intent." The man's eyes swept across the security team, the transporter room, the technology surrounding him. Confusion creased his features, followed by something that looked like grief. "My name is Kal-El. Some call me Clark Kent. On my world, they called me Superman." He gestured at his uniform, at the symbol on his chest. "I was fighting to save my universe from a dimensional collapse. Something went wrong. The phantom zone projector intersected with the breach, and I was pulled through. I don't know where I am. This isn't my reality. Kal-El, Worf repeated, the Klingon word for star child, close enough to make him pause. Superman. These are not designations in any Federation records. Federation? Superman's eyes narrowed, processing, "You're explorers, a union of worlds, like the United Planets, but different. This isn't my Earth, is it?" The door hissed open. Captain Picard entered with Commander Riker, Counselor Troy, and Lieutenant Commander Data. The captain's presence changed the room's energy immediately. Authority, dignity, and a calm that came from decades of facing the unknown. He stopped 5 meters from the containment field and studied the man inside with the gaze of someone who had negotiated with beings of pure energy and walked away alive. "I am Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. You are aboard our vessel, currently in the Romulan neutral zone. You emerged from a spatial phenomenon that our science cannot explain." Picard's voice carried no threat, only statement of fact. "You claim to be from another universe. Can you substantiate this claim?" Superman lowered his hands slowly. "I can hear your heartbeats, all of you. The captain's is steady, disciplined. The woman beside you, her heart races with empathy, not fear. The android has no heartbeat at all, just the hum of positronic pathways processing faster than thought." Data's eyes widened fractionally. "I can see through your walls. This ship is massive, over 600 meters long. Families living in the lower decks. Children in schools. A heart, a warp core, you call it. Generating controlled matter, antimatter reactions. I've never seen technology like this. Warp drive. You bend space itself to travel faster than light." The room went silent. O'Brien's hand froze over his console. Worf's phaser lowered slightly, tactical training warring with the realization that shooting something that could see through starship hulls might be pointless. Troy stepped forward, her empathic senses straining. "Captain, he's telling the truth. The emotional resonance is genuine. Confusion, loss, determination, and underneath everything, a profound sense of responsibility. He feels accountable for everyone's safety, not just his own." She looked at Superman with wonder. "You're in pain. Physical pain from the dimensional transition, but you're enduring it without complaint." "Counselor Troy is a betazoid," Picard explained. "She senses emotion. Lying to her is difficult." Superman managed a weak smile. "Where I come from, I knew someone similar. Martian telepathy. John could read surface thoughts, sense intentions." The smile faded. "I hope he's still alive. If the dimensional collapse wasn't stopped." Data stepped closer, his android curiosity overriding caution. "You mentioned seeing through our hull. You described our warp core configuration accurately. You heard biological functions from across the room. These abilities suggest sensory capabilities that exceed any known species by orders of magnitude." He tilted his head. "Yet you appear human. May I scan you?" "Go ahead," Superman said. "But your equipment might have trouble. Technology from my world that tried to analyze me usually overloaded." Data pulled his tricorder and aimed it at the containment field. Immediately, the device began squealing protest. Readings cascaded across the small screen faster than even Data could process. "Fascinating. Your cellular structure is absorbing and storing solar radiation at the quantum level. Each cell functions as a biological fusion reactor. Your skin is denser than collapsed matter, yet flexible. Your bones are... Captain, if these readings are accurate, his skeletal structure could withstand the gravitational force of a collapsing star. That's not possible, O'Brien breathed. Nothing biological survives those forces. I'm not from your universe, Superman said quietly. Different physical laws. Where I come from, my species evolved under a red sun. But yellow sun radiation, like the star this system orbits, it charges my cells, gives me abilities that seem impossible here. Strength, speed, flight, invulnerability. It's just biology to me, but I understand it looks like magic to you. Picard absorbed this, his tactical mind already running scenarios. You survived hard vacuum without protection. You matched our speed at 1/4 impulse power. You damaged our containment field with a touch. Mr. Data, analysis. Is this being a threat to my ship? Data's response was measured. If his capabilities are as described, he could potentially dismantle the Enterprise with his bare hands in approximately 17 minutes. However, the android looked directly at Superman. You have made no threatening gestures. You apologized for damaging our containment field. Your body language suggests distress, not aggression. Conclusion, you possess the power to threaten us, but lack the intent. I don't hurt people, Superman said firmly. I protect them. It's what I do, what I've always done. Riker crossed his arms. With all due respect, we've encountered beings who claimed benevolent intent before. The road to tyranny is paved with good intentions. Your first officer is right to be cautious, Superman acknowledged. Absolute power corrupts. I've seen it happen, fought against it. But I was raised by good people who taught me that power without restraint is just violence waiting to happen. I have rules. I don't kill. I don't rule. I serve. And right now, I'm lost in a universe that isn't mine, surrounded by people who have every reason to fear me. He looked directly at Picard. So I'm asking for help. Asylum, maybe. Information about this reality. And in return, I'll answer your questions truthfully and do whatever I can to prove I'm not a threat. Picard studied the man in the containment field for a long moment. First contact protocols demanded caution. The Prime Directive warned against interference. But standing before him was a being of godlike power, asking permission, showing restraint, requesting help rather than demanding it. That single act of humility spoke volumes. Mr. O'Brien, lower the containment field, Picard ordered. Worf stiffened but didn't countermand the order. Superman, you will be escorted to a private conference room where we can discuss your situation in detail. You will answer our questions completely. And understand this, while you are aboard my ship, you will respect our laws and our sovereignty. Do we have an understanding? Superman stepped off the transporter platform as the field dropped. He moved with controlled precision, as if afraid his strength might accidentally damage something. You have my word, Captain. Thank you for taking the chance. As the security team formed up around their impossibly powerful guest, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Worf's comm badge chirped urgently. Bridge to Captain Picard. 3 Romulan warbirds decloaking off the port bow. They're hailing us, sir. They want to know why we're harboring a weapon of mass destruction in the neutral zone. The conference room's windows framed the 3 Romulan warbirds like predators circling wounded prey. Their hulls gleamed green in the starlight, disruptor arrays already charging with the distinctive energy signature that meant violence was seconds away. Superman stood at the window, cape hanging motionless in the artificial gravity, watching the ships with eyes that could count every rivet on their hulls from this distance. Picard sat at the head of the conference table with Riker, Data, Troy, and Dr. Beverly Crusher. Worf stood by the door, phaser conspicuously holstered, but hand never far from the weapon. "They detected your arrival," Picard said, his tone measured but tight. The energy signature from that dimensional rift lit up sensors across 3 sectors. The Romulans believe you're a Federation superweapon. They're demanding we surrender you for inspection or face immediate attack. Superman turned from the window. "I'm not a weapon. I'm a person." "Try explaining that to Commander Sela," Riker muttered. "The Romulans don't differentiate between people and weapons when the power level is high enough." Dr. Crusher had been scanning Superman with a medical tricorder since he entered the room, her physician's curiosity overriding her caution. "Captain, his cellular structure is unlike anything in our medical databases. Each cell is absorbing photonic energy from the ship's lighting and converting it to stored potential. It's as if his entire body is a living battery that never stops charging." "How much energy are we talking about?" Picard asked. Crusher checked her readings twice before answering. "If he released all stored energy at once, the explosion would vaporize everything within 50 kilometers. He's essentially a walking antimatter reactor with perfect containment." Superman's jaw tightened. "I would never detonate. That's not how my biology works. The energy is bound at the molecular level. It can't be released that way." "The Romulans don't know that," Troy said softly. "They're terrified, Captain. I can feel their fear from here, even through the hull. They've never encountered anything like him. To them, he represents an existential threat to the Star Empire." The comm system chirped. "Bridge to Captain Picard. The Romulans are powering weapons. They're giving us 2 minutes to comply." Picard stood, straightening his uniform in that habitual gesture. "Superman, I need to understand your capabilities precisely. Can our weapons harm you?" Superman met his gaze without flinching. "I don't know. Where I come from, most energy weapons can't penetrate my skin. Nuclear explosions feel like strong wind. I've flown through the cores of stars. But this is a different universe with different physics. Your phasers work on principles I don't recognize. Maybe they'd hurt me. Maybe they wouldn't. And if we asked you to leave the ship to defuse this situation?" Riker asked. "I'd go," Superman said immediately. "I won't let innocent people die because the Romulans are afraid of me. But Captain, running won't solve this. They saw me arrive. They know what I can do. Whether I'm on your ship or floating in space, they'll still see me as a threat." Data's fingers steepled together. "A logical assessment. The Romulans will not cease their interest regardless of your location. In fact, your departure might encourage them to attack the Enterprise to acquire information about you." Worf growled low in his chest. "Then we fight. The Enterprise can handle 3 warbirds." "At what cost?" Picard demanded. "Lives on both sides. Escalation that could reignite the war. No, there must be another option." He looked at Superman with sudden intensity. "You said you protect people. Is that rhetoric or reality?" "Reality," Superman answered without hesitation. "It's what I was born to do." "Then help me protect my crew, not with violence, with demonstration. The Romulans fear what they don't understand. Make them understand. Superman's eyes narrowed. You want me to meet with them? I want you to show them you're not a weapon, that you have agency, morality, restraint. Picard moved closer. Every species of this galaxy has learned that cooperation serves us better than conflict. It's the foundation of the Federation. Can you show the Romulans that same principle? Before Superman could answer, the ship rocked violently. Red alert klaxons screamed. Direct hit from disruptor fire, Worf reported via comm badge. Shields holding at 86%. They're not waiting for our answer, Captain. Superman's eyes flashed red for a microsecond, heat vision reflexively activating before he forced it down. They just attacked you, unprovoked, while you were negotiating. Welcome to Romulan diplomacy, Riker said grimly. They probe for weakness constantly. Another impact shook the room. Picard gripped the table edge. Shields at 70%. Captain, if they maintain this bombardment rate, we have approximately 8 minutes before shield failure. Superman moved toward the door. I can stop this. Let me out there. To do what? Picard demanded, blocking his path despite the absurdity of one human body, stopping something that could shrug off starship weapons. Destroy their vessels. Kill their crews. That would prove every fear they have about you. It would make you the monster they believe you are. I wouldn't kill them, Superman said, frustration cracking his calm. I'd disable their weapons, push their ships back, show them they can't win. Troy stepped forward. And then what? They retreat, regroup, return with a fleet. The Romulan Empire doesn't forgive humiliation. You'd start a war that would consume thousands of worlds. The ship shuddered again. Somewhere distant, an explosion echoed through the bulkheads. Hull breach on deck 17, Worf reported. Force fields holding. Casualties reported. Superman's fists clenched. Every instinct he possessed screamed at him to act, to protect, to stop the violence. But these people were right. This wasn't his universe. He didn't understand the politics, the history, the careful balance that kept the peace. In his world, he could stop a threat and deal with the consequences. Here, consequences rippled across an entire galaxy. There's a third option, Data said suddenly. Superman's arrival was caused by dimensional instability. The Romulans detected massive energy readings. They assume he is a weapon because they have no context for his origin. If we could demonstrate the dimensional breach, show them he is a refugee rather than a creation, their threat assessment might change. Picard's eyes lit with understanding. The rift. Can we recreate the sensor data? Show them the impossible physics that brought him here. I can do better than that, Superman said. I can show them where I came from. He looked at Data. Your android. You mentioned positronic pathways. In my world, we had something similar. Holographic interfaces that could display information directly to the brain. Do you have anything like that? The holodeck, Crusher said. We could recreate your world based on your memories. The ship rocked again. Shields at 53%. 4 Klingon birds of prey decloaking on our starboard side. They've detected the Romulan attack and are moving to intercept. Magnificent, Picard said with bitter irony. Now we have 2 empires fighting over him. Superman's expression hardened with decision. Then let's give them something else to think about. He turned to Picard. Captain, with your permission, I'm going outside, not to fight. To show them what I really am. Let them scan me. Let them see I'm biological, not mechanical. Let them watch me survive their weapons without retaliating. Maybe if they see I won't fight back, they'll realize I'm not a threat. You'd let them shoot you? Riker asked, incredulous. I've done it before. Sometimes people need to see that violence doesn't work before they'll try talking. Superman looked at each of them in turn. In my world, I'm the last son of a dead planet, an alien who chose Earth as home. I spent years proving I could be trusted. I can do it again here. But I need you to trust me first. Picard studied the man before him. Every strategic instinct warned against releasing a being of such power into an active combat zone. But every diplomatic instinct recognized sincerity when he heard it. This was a test, not of Superman's power, but of Picard's faith in first contact principles, the belief that understanding could triumph over fear. Make it so, Picard said quietly. But Superman, understand this. If you harm anyone out there, Romulan or Klingon or otherwise, I will find a way to stop you, even if it costs us everything. Superman smiled, and for the first time since arriving, it reached his eyes. Captain, where I come from, someone once told me that the best way to fight for truth is to live it. Let's show them what truth looks like. He walked to the window and placed both palms against the transparent aluminum. How do I get outside without explosive decompression killing everyone? Data moved to a wall panel. Transporter coordinates locked. I will beam you directly into space. Good luck, Superman. One more thing, Superman said as the transporter beam began to form. Tell the Romulans and Klingons that if they want to talk, I'm listening, but tell them to hurry. Your shields won't last much longer, and I'm really tired of watching good people suffer because everyone's too afraid to take the first step. Then he was gone, materialized into the vacuum between warships, and the real test began. Superman materialized in hard vacuum between three civilizations on the brink of war. The Enterprise hung behind him, shields flickering under sustained Romulan disruptor fire. 4 Klingon birds of prey circled like wolves, disruptors charging, waiting for an excuse to join the bloodbath. 3 Romulan warbirds maintained attack formation, their commanders no doubt screaming at their tactical officers to analyze the new threat that had just appeared without a ship or suit. He floated motionless, cape spreading behind him like a banner, arms at his sides in a posture of complete non-aggression. His enhanced hearing picked up transmission across all frequencies. Romulan commanders shouting in their harsh language. Klingon warriors arguing about honor and combat. And Picard's voice, calm and steady, transmitting on all channels in diplomatic tones. Attention, Romulan and Klingon vessels. The being you see before you is not a weapon. He is a refugee from another dimension. He has agreed to submit to your scans to prove he poses no threat. I ask that you hold your fire and examine the evidence before making judgments that could cost innocent lives. A Romulan response came immediately, cold and suspicious. Captain Picard, you harbor a being of immeasurable power in the neutral zone. Whether he is weapon or refugee is irrelevant. His very existence threatens the balance of power. Surrender him to Romulan custody for analysis, or we will destroy your vessel and take him by force. The Klingon response was more direct. Romulans! That warrior belongs to no one. If he wishes to prove his strength, let him face Klingon honor in combat. We claim right of challenge. Superman closed his eyes, shutting out the political posturing, and focused on his hearing. On the Enterprise, he could hear Picard's heartbeat steady despite the crisis. Hear children crying in the lower decks, afraid of the explosions. Hear engineering crews rushing to repair damage. Hear Dr. Crusher treating injured crew members, her hands steady even as her heart raced. On the Romulan flagship, he heard a woman's voice, Commander Sella speaking to her officers. Scan that creature, find its weaknesses. If the Federation has created a biological superweapon, we must obtain the technology before the Klingons. On the lead Klingon bird of prey, a voice thick with warrior's pride. Look at it. Standing in vacuum-like space itself bends to its will. This is the opponent I have waited for. A true test of Klingon strength. They all saw him as something to use, to fight, to study. None of them saw him as a person, just like the early days on Earth, when governments had tried to recruit him, control him, weaponize him. It had taken years to earn humanity's trust. He didn't have years here. Superman opened his eyes and did the only thing that had ever worked. He showed them the truth. He spread his arms wide, making himself a target. I am Kal-El of Krypton. In my universe, I am called Superman. I have no weapons, no ship, no army. I came here by accident through forces beyond my control. If you wish to scan me, scan me. If you wish to test me, test me. But know this, I will not fight you. I will not retaliate. Violence is not the answer. And I refuse to prove your fears correct by becoming the monster you expect. For 3 seconds, silence. Then every ship opened fire simultaneously. Romulan disruptors struck first, emerald beams designed to tear through starship hulls. They hit Superman's chest and dissipated like water against diamond. Klingon disruptors followed, crimson bolts that could vaporize a shuttlecraft. They splashed across his body without leaving a mark. The Romulans switched to plasma torpedoes, ship-killer weapons that detonated against his face in nuclear fury. The explosions cleared, and Superman remained, unharmed, eyes still open, arms still spread. Impossible, breathed a Romulan tactical officer, his transmission accidentally left open. No biological organism withstands plasma detonation, no shielding that efficient exists. What is he? The Klingons fired photon torpedoes, their most powerful weapons. 6 warheads struck Superman from different angles, each carrying antimatter payloads sufficient to crack a planet's crust. The combined explosion lit space like a newborn star. When the light faded, Superman floated in the same position, his uniform not even singed. On the lead Klingon vessel, the commander laughed with genuine delight. Magnificent. He does not even defend himself. Warriors, cease fire. This being has more honor than any opponent I have faced. He proves his strength through restraint, not aggression. This is true power. But the Romulans did not cease fire. They never did when fear drove their decisions. Sella's voice cut across all channels. Increase firepower, concentrated barrage. I want that thing neutralized. All 3 warbirds opened fire together, disruptors and torpedoes converging on a single point. The bombardment was horrific, enough firepower to slag a small moon. It struck Superman with the force of colliding stars, and he began to glow, not with damage, not with pain, with absorbed energy. His cells drank in the bombardment like a man dying of thirst drinks water. Solar radiation, plasma energy, Antimatter detonation, all of it feeding the Kryptonian biology that had evolved to process stellar output. His skin began to shine with golden light, power building beyond anything he'd experienced even under Earth's yellow sun. "Stop," he said quietly, but his voice carried across vacuum through their communication systems, vibrating the hulls of their ships with harmonic resonance. "You're making this worse." Sella didn't stop. She couldn't. Fear had her now, and fear made people stupid. "Full barrage. Do not relent. Burn it out of space." Superman's eyes flashed red. Not with anger, with necessity. He released a microsecond burst of heat vision, precisely calibrated, striking the lead warbird's forward disruptor array. The weapon exploded, venting atmosphere and forcing the ship to emergency maneuvers. He hadn't hurt the crew, hadn't breached their hull, just removed their ability to hurt themselves further. "I said stop," Superman repeated, and this time his voice carried command. "You've proven your weapons can't harm me. I've proven I won't retaliate with lethal force. This accomplishes nothing except wasting energy and proving stubbornness. So I'm asking again, as someone who wants peace, can we please talk before anyone actually gets hurt?" The Klingon commander's laughter boomed across channels. "I like him. Any warrior who can destroy weapons without killing their wielders has wisdom beyond his years. Picard, your refugee has honor. We will hear his words." Sella's response was ice. "The Romulan Star Empire does not negotiate with weapons." "Then you negotiate with refugees," Superman said firmly. "Because I'm not going anywhere until we reach an understanding. And trust me, Commander, I can float here longer than your ships can maintain battle stations." On the Enterprise bridge, Picard allowed himself the smallest smile. Superman had done it. Proven power without violence, shown strength through mercy. It was the most Federation thing Picard had ever witnessed from someone who had never heard of the Federation until an hour ago. But then Data's voice cut through with words that chilled every heart on the bridge. "Captain, long-range sensors detecting subspace distortion approaching at a high velocity. Configuration matches Borg cube, ETA 4 minutes. They are hailing us with a single message. We are the Borg. The biological anomaly will be assimilated. Resistance is futile." The word Borg changed everything. Superman heard it through the comm channels and felt the shift in every heartbeat surrounding him. Terror, pure, primal terror that transcended species boundaries. The Romulan crews went silent. The Klingon warriors stopped laughing. Even Picard's disciplined pulse stuttered for half a second before steadying with iron will. "What are the Borg?" Superman asked, his voice cutting through the suddenly crowded comm channel. Picard's response came tight with controlled dread. "A cybernetic collective, half organic, half machine. They assimilate entire civilizations, stripping away individuality and adding the victims to their hive mind. They've destroyed thousands of worlds. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be bargained with. They adapt to every weapon we use against them." Superman's eyes narrowed, scanning the distance his vision could pierce. There, at the edge of sensor range, a massive cube emerged from a swirling green vortex. 28 cubic kilometers of angular nightmare, bristling with technology that made his skin crawl. And inside, he heard them. Thousands of voices speaking in perfect unison, thoughts linked across a vast network of enslaved minds, screaming silently beneath the collective's control. "We are the Borg. The biological anomaly designated Superman possesses desirable characteristics: physical perfection, energy absorption, dimensional transit capability. You will be assimilated. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile. The Borg cube accelerated, closing the distance with horrifying speed. The Romulan warbirds immediately broke formation, cloaking and retreating. Sella's voice came through one last time, cold and pragmatic. "Captain Picard, the biological weapon is your problem now. The Romulan Star Empire will not sacrifice ships for a creature that belongs to neither faction. If it survives, we will continue this discussion. If not, the threat is neutralized. Jolan true." The warbirds vanished, leaving only empty space where they'd been. The Klingons held position, but their commander's bravado had evaporated. "Picard, we honor our warrior's code, but 4 birds of prey cannot stop a Borg cube. We must retreat and return with a fleet. The Empire remembers our alliance. We will avenge you if you fall." "Understood," Picard said simply. "Go. Live to fight another day." The Klingon ships wheeled away, engaging maximum impulse, desperate to escape before the Borg took interest in them too. In seconds, Superman and the Enterprise stood alone against the approaching cube. "Captain," Superman said, still floating in vacuum, his cape rippling with stored energy. "Get your ship out of here. Take your crew to safety. I'll handle this." "Negative," Picard responded immediately. "We do not abandon allies, and we do not leave sentient beings to face the Borg alone. The Enterprise stands with you." "You don't understand," Superman insisted, watching the cube close to weapons range. "I've fought hive minds before. Brainiac tried something similar on my Earth. But these Borg, if they assimilate me, if they gain access to Kryptonian biology and duplicate it across their collective, you won't have one Superman to worry about. You'll have thousands, each one as strong as me, each one without conscience or restraint. I can't let that happen." Data's voice came through, analytical and precise. "Superman's assessment is accurate. Borg assimilation introduces nanoprobes that rewrite cellular structure and connect victims to the collective consciousness. If they successfully assimilated you, the Borg would gain capabilities that could render them unstoppable. However, we do not yet know if their nanoprobes can penetrate your cellular density." "Then we don't find out," Superman said flatly. "I'm leaving, drawing them away from populated space. Maybe I can destroy the cube before they adapt to me." "Belay that order," Picard commanded with captain's authority. "You don't know this galaxy. You don't know where to run or where is safe. The Borg have transwarp capability. They'll follow you anywhere. And if you're wrong about destroying them, you'll lead them to innocent world with no defense." The cube fired. Not weapons, but a tractor beam of impossible strength, green light lancing across space to lock on to Superman. He felt it grip him, pulling with force that would have dragged a starship into the cube's assimilation chambers. He resisted, muscles tensing, fighting the pull. The beam intensified. Somewhere inside the cube, power systems diverted to handle the resistance. "They're trying to pull me in," Superman reported, strain entering his voice for the first time. "The beam is strong, really strong. Borg tractor beams can move planetary masses," Data explained. "They are designed to capture entire ships intact for assimilation. Your resistance is causing them to increase power beyond standard parameters." Superman stopped resisting. Let the beam pull him forward. Then let's get closer. I can't destroy that thing from here without knowing what I'm hitting. Are there still people inside? Victims waiting to be saved? Troy's voice came through, thick with emotion. Yes, thousands. Former Starfleet officers, civilians, children, all of them trapped in the collective, aware but unable to control their own bodies. It's the worst fate imaginable. Superman's jaw set with determination. Then I'm not destroying it, I'm freeing them. That's impossible, Riker protested. No one has ever freed a Borg drone from the collective without extensive medical intervention. The nanoprobes rewrite every system. Remove someone too quickly, and they die. I have X-ray vision, Superman countered, letting the tractor beam draw him closer to the cube. I can see inside them, see the nanoprobes, the implants, the organic tissue underneath. If your Dr. Crusher tells me what needs to be removed and what needs to stay, maybe I can do this precisely enough to save them. The cube's opening bay doors loomed before him, a mechanical maw designed to swallow ships whole. Inside, he could see them. Drones. Hundreds of them standing motionless, waiting to inject him with assimilation tubules and add him to their collective. They were dead inside, except they weren't. He could hear their hearts beating, see their brains firing. They were still alive, just imprisoned in their own bodies. Crusher to Superman. The doctor's voice came through, urgent and desperate. If you're serious about this, you need to understand. Borg drones have cortical nodes attached to their cerebral cortex. Those nodes connect them to the hive mind. Remove them without proper procedure, and the shock will kill them instantly. There's also the issue of life support implants. Many drones can't survive without their mechanical components. Then I'll be careful, Superman said, and let himself be pulled into the cube's interior. The bay doors sealed behind him with mechanical finality. 300 drones turned as one to face him, their collective voice echoing through the chamber. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. Superman looked at them, these victims wearing their own corpses, and felt rage build in his chest. Not at them, at whatever cosmic cruelty had created the Borg. At the collective that stole freedom and called it perfection, at the universe that let this happen to innocent people. No, Superman said quietly, you'll be free. Then he moved. The first drone raised its assimilation tubules, mechanical arms extending with pneumatic hisses. Superman was faster, his hand catching the drone's wrist before the tubules could deploy. He could see inside the drone's arm with X-ray vision, see the tubes filled with nanoprobes, see the pressure systems about to inject them. He squeezed carefully, crushing the injection mechanism without breaking the drone's bones. Enterprise, I need Crusher on an open channel. Tell me what I'm looking at inside these people. Guide me through this. We're saving every single one of them. On the Enterprise bridge, Picard stared at the view screen showing the Borg cube, knowing that inside something impossible was happening. A man from another universe was attempting what Starfleet had deemed impossible for decades, and somehow, against all logic, Picard found himself believing it might actually work. Superman moved through the Borg cube like a surgeon with a scalpel made of starlight. His hands worked faster than human eyes could track, guided by X-ray vision that saw through flesh and metal to the vulnerable organic tissue beneath. Dr. Crusher's voice streamed constant instructions through his comm badge. her medical expertise directing every movement. The cortical node is embedded 3 centimeters deep in the frontal lobe. You'll see a cluster of fiber optic threads connecting it to the cerebral cortex. Those threads must be severed simultaneously, or the feedback will cause catastrophic neural damage. Superman's fingers found the node on the first drone, a Bolian male whose blue skin had been replaced with gray mechanical plating across half his face. With microscopic precision, Superman's heat vision fired at surgical intensity, severing the connections in a microsecond. The drone gasped, body spasming as the collective's control shattered. Superman caught him before he fell. "One down," Superman reported, lowering the freed Bolian gently to the deck. He's unconscious, but breathing, heartbeat stabilizing. The other drones reacted instantly. The collective mind controlling them recognized the threat and adapted. 50 drones rushed Superman simultaneously, assimilation tubules extending, mechanical limbs grabbing with hydraulic strength. They swarmed him like ants on a giant, dozens of injection attempts, seeking any exposed skin. Superman spun, cape whirling, knocking drones back without breaking their fragile organic components. The tubules struck his skin and shattered against invulnerable Kryptonian cell structure. Nanoprobes sprayed uselessly across his uniform, unable to penetrate, unable to find purchase. The Borg collective paused, processing this impossibility. Adaptation in progress, deploying assimilation methodology 7-7 Alpha, increasing tubule pressure by a factor of 12. The next wave of drones attacked with tubules reinforced by tractor beam technology, attempting to force injection through sheer physics. The tubules bent, snapped, broke apart against Superman's skin. Frustration wasn't something the Borg usually experienced, but their collective consciousness had no framework for a target that couldn't be pierced, couldn't be damaged, couldn't be stopped. "They're trying everything," Superman said, catching 3 drones mid-lunge and holding them immobile. "Crusher, I can work faster if I know what's essential." "What implants can I remove safely?" "Most external cybernetics are parasitic, not symbiotic," Crusher responded, her voice tight with focus. "The exoskeleton plating, the ocular implants, the limb enhancements, those are add-ons the Borg use for efficiency. But be careful of anything connected to major organs. Some drones have mechanical hearts or lungs. Remove those, and they die." Superman nodded, setting the 3 drones down and beginning the delicate work of dismantling their prison piece by piece. His heat vision carved away external plating. His fingers, moving with impossible gentleness, extracted ocular implants without damaging eye sockets. Each freed drone collapsed into unconsciousness as their connection to the collective severed, organic minds finally allowed to rest after years of forced consciousness. 5 freed, 10, 15, Superman counted, working faster as Crusher's instructions became intuitive. He was learning Borg anatomy with every drone, understanding the patterns of their assimilation. "How many are in this cube total?" Data's voice answered. "Standard Borg cubes carry approximately 5,000 drones. At your current rate of 30 seconds per drone, complete liberation would require 41.6 hours. "Then I'll work faster," Superman said. And he did. His hands became blurs, his heat vision firing in rapid pulses, his mind processing Crusher's instructions and executing them before she finished speaking. 30 seconds became 20. 20 became 10. The pile of freed drones grew, unconscious but alive, breathing on their own, dreaming their own dreams for the first time in years. The Borg collective adapted again. If assimilation was impossible, elimination became acceptable. Drones pulled back, and the cube's internal defenses activated. Energy weapons emerged from walls, ceiling, floor. Cutting beams designed to slice through starship hulls fired at Superman from every angle. The beams struck him and scattered like light through a prism. Superman didn't even flinch, continuing his work on a freed Andorian female while plasma cutters carved the air around him. The temperature in the chamber rose to levels that would vaporize unprotected organics. Superman's cape smoldered slightly, but his skin remained cool. "We are Borg. Your resistance damages the collective. Cease liberation efforts, or we will terminate all drones in this sector to prevent further loss." Superman's eyes blazed red with genuine anger. "You'll kill your own people rather than let them go free. That's not efficiency. That's slavery with a computer's face." He destroyed another cortical node, freed another victim, and I don't negotiate with slavers. On the Enterprise, Picard watched sensor readings with growing amazement. "Mr. Data, confirm what I'm seeing. Is he actually winning?" "Affirmative, Captain. Superman has freed 173 drones in the past 8 minutes. The Borg are cycling through adaptive protocols faster than I have ever witnessed. They cannot damage him. They cannot assimilate him. They cannot stop him. It is causing cascade failures in their decision matrices." Worf's tactical display lit up with new contacts. "Captain, the cube is launching sphere vessels, 6 spheres departing from the main structure. They're heading toward Federation space at maximum transwarp velocity." "They're running." Riker breathed in disbelief. "The Borg are actually retreating." "Negative," Data corrected. "They are not retreating. They are reporting. Those spheres carry intelligence about Superman's capabilities back to the collective. The Borg will return with adapted tactics and overwhelming force." Picard's expression hardened. "Superman, did you hear that? The Borg are spreading word of your existence throughout their collective. Every cube in the galaxy will be hunting you." Superman's response came between freeing 2 more drones, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what he'd just triggered. "Then they'll find me ready. But right now, there are still 4,000 people in this cube who need help. I'm not leaving until they're free." The remaining drones began to retreat deeper into the cube, away from Superman's inexorable advance. The collective was learning something it had never needed to understand before: fear. For the first time in their existence, the Borg encountered a problem they couldn't solve by adaptation or assimilation, a force of nature that refused to be calculated or controlled. Superman walked through the Borg cube's corridors, freeing every drone he found, leaving piles of unconscious victims in his wake. Somewhere in the depth of the collective consciousness, trillions of linked minds watched and tried to comprehend the impossible. They called him an anomaly. But what he really represented was simpler and infinitely more dangerous to beings built on the philosophy that resistance was futile. He was hope, wearing a cape and refusing to surrender. Superman had freed 800 drones when the Borg cube made its final desperate gamble. The collective consciousness, facing an opponent it couldn't comprehend, chose scorched earth over surrender. Warning klaxons erupted throughout the massive vessel as its self-destruct sequence initiated. Not a simple explosion. A complete matter-antimatter annihilation designed to erase everything within a 100-kilometer radius. "Superman, get out of there now!" Picard's voice cut through the calm with rare urgency. "That cube is going to explode. You have 90 seconds. Superman looked at the unconscious drones surrounding him, hundreds of freed victims still trapped inside the cube with 4,000 more, waiting deeper in its maze of corridors. His jaw clenched. "I'm not leaving them. You can't save them all in 90 seconds, Riker protested. "Even you can't move that fast." "Watch me," Superman said, and moved faster than he'd ever moved in this universe. He became a blur of red and blue, racing through corridors at speeds that made the air ignite behind him. His arms scooped up freed drones 3 at a time, carrying them to the cube's exterior and hurling them gently toward the Enterprise. Each throw was calculated perfectly, enough velocity to clear the blast radius, but gentle enough not to break fragile organic bodies. "Enterprise, lock tractor beams on those bodies. Get them to safety." "We're on it," O'Brien responded from transporter control. "Beaming them directly to Cargo Bay 2. Medical team standing by." Superman dove back into the cube. 60 seconds remaining. He found clusters of freed drones in various chambers, all unconscious, all helpless. He grabbed them, ran, threw them clear. Back and forth, in and out, moving so fast the Borg sensors couldn't track him anymore. The cube's internal structure began to destabilize, bulkheads warping as containment fields failed. 40 seconds. Superman reached a chamber where 30 drones still stood connected to alcoves, untouched, still enslaved. He didn't have time for surgical precision anymore. His heat vision fired in broad sweeps, cutting power conduits, severing alcove connections. The drones collapsed as their link to the collective died. He gathered them in his arms, as many as he could carry, and ran. 20 seconds. The antimatter containment fields were failing catastrophically now. Superman could see the reaction beginning at the cube's core, matter and antimatter starting to touch. He cleared the last group of freed drones from the cube's interior and turned back for one final sweep. Data's voice stopped him cold. "Superman, cease rescue attempts. 4,137 drones remain inside. The detonation will occur in 11 seconds. You cannot save them all. If you remain inside when the explosion occurs, the energy release will charge your cells to dangerous levels. You could become a secondary explosion hazardous to the Enterprise." Superman hovered at the cube's entrance, every instinct screaming at him to go back, to save just one more, to not give up while people still needed help. But Data was right. 4,000 lives against 500 crew on the Enterprise. Against the freed drones floating in space, against himself becoming a weapon. He flew clear. The Borg cube detonated 3 seconds later. The explosion was biblical in scale, a sphere of pure energy expanding at near light speed, temperature exceeding the core of stars. It struck Superman like a physical wall, and his cells drank it greedily. Every atom of his Kryptonian biology absorbed energy designed to destroy planets. He glowed like a golden sun, power building beyond anything he had experienced even in his own universe. "I've got you," Superman gasped, spreading his arms wide and using his own body as a shield between the explosion and the Enterprise. The blast wave hit him and stopped, absorbed. contained by invulnerable flesh that refused to let destruction pass. For 10 seconds he held the line, enduring forces that would vaporize neutronium until the explosion exhausted itself and faded. When the light cleared, Superman floated alone in space, surrounded by debris and freed drones. His uniform glowed with residual energy. His eyes burned gold instead of their normal blue. He felt power singing through every cell, more than he'd ever contained, more than should be possible. "Enterprise, I'm okay," he reported, though his voice resonated with harmonics that made the comm system crackle. "The explosion charged me, but I'm maintaining control. How many did we save?" Crusher's voice came through, exhausted but triumphant. 873. We transported all of them aboard. They're alive, Superman. Unconscious, traumatized, but alive and free. You did it. 873 out of 5,000. Superman closed his eyes, grief washing over him. So many lost, so many he couldn't save. In his universe, he'd learned to accept that he couldn't save everyone. But accepting it never made it hurt less. "Captain," Data interrupted, his tone urgent. "Long-range sensors detecting multiple warp signatures approaching our position. Configuration matches Romulan warbirds, Klingon battlecruisers, and Cardassian destroyers. They all witnessed Superman's engagement with the Borg. They are converging on our location." Picard's voice carried grim understanding. They saw him absorb that explosion and survive. They saw him free hundreds of drones from assimilation. Every major power in the quadrant just watched Superman do what we've considered impossible for decades. He paused. "They're not coming to thank him. They're coming to claim him." Superman opened his eyes, the golden glow fading back to normal blue, and looked at the approaching signatures his enhanced vision could already see. Dozens of warships from 3 different empires, all converging with weapons hot and shields raised. All of them afraid. All of them determined to control or eliminate what they couldn't understand. "Captain Picard," Superman said quietly, "I think I just made things worse. The Enterprise's bridge became a tactical nightmare in seconds. 16 warships surrounded them in a loose sphere, each representing a different faction with competing interests and ancient grudges. 3 Romulan warbirds to port, their cloaking devices offline to show they meant business. 5 Klingon battlecruisers to starboard, weapons charged, and honor demands clear. 8 Cardassian destroyers completing the encirclement, their commanders calculating angles and advantages like the military strategists they'd been bred to become. Superman floated between the Enterprise and the converging fleet, cape billowing in solar wind, body still radiating excess energy from the Borg cube's detonation. He could hear every transmission, every argument happening across multiple bridges in multiple languages. The Romulans wanted to dissect him, understand his biology, replicate it for their genetic programs. The Klingons wanted to test him in honorable combat, prove their warriors could match his strength. The Cardassians wanted to exploit him politically, use his power as leverage in their endless territorial disputes. "Attention, unidentified biological entity," came a cold Cardassian voice. "You have violated Cardassian space protocols by engaging in military action within sensor range of our border. You will surrender to Cardassian custody for tribunal processing or face immediate military response." A Klingon commander's voice overrode the transmission. The warrior called Superman answers to no one but himself. If the Cardassians wish to claim him, they must prove their strength. We challenge any vessel that attempts seizure. The Empire recognizes his honor through combat. Commander Sella's voice cut through both transmissions like a blade. Romulan Star Empire has primary claim. The biological weapon materialized in the neutral zone under our jurisdiction. Captain Picard violated treaty by harboring it aboard a Federation vessel. Superman will be transferred to Romulan Science Division for analysis, or we will consider this an act of war. Picard stood from his command chair, straightening his uniform with that habitual gesture that meant he was preparing for diplomatic battle. All vessels, this is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise. The being you're discussing is not a weapon, not property, and not subject to anyone's jurisdiction. He is a sentient refugee from another dimension with full rights under Federation law and interstellar treaty. Any attempt to seize him by force will be met with appropriate defensive measures. Defensive measures? A Cardassian commander laughed harshly. Captain, you command one Galaxy-class starship against 16 warships from 3 empires. Your defensive measures are irrelevant. Superman's voice cut through every channel simultaneously, amplified by sheer will and vocal cords that could shout across planetary distances. Stop, all of you, just stop. The authority in his tone made even the most hardened commanders pause. I'm not going with any of you. I'm not a weapon to be claimed or a prize to be won. I'm a person making a choice, and I choose to stay with Captain Picard and the Enterprise until we figure out how to return me to my universe. You don't have that choice, Sella responded coldly. You represent a threat to galactic stability. The Borg attempted to assimilate you and failed. You absorbed sufficient energy to destroy a solar system. You possess abilities that make you functionally invincible. No single entity should wield such power without oversight. She's right, Superman said, and the admission surprised everyone. No one should have this much power. In my universe, I struggled with that question every day. How do I use these abilities without becoming a tyrant? How do I help without controlling? How do I save people without taking away their right to save themselves? He looked directly at the Romulan flagship. But the answer isn't putting me in chains. It's trusting me to make the right choices and holding me accountable when I don't. A Klingon commander's laugh boomed across channels. Well spoken, warrior. The Empire respects strength tempered with wisdom. We withdraw our challenge. Superman has earned the right to choose his own path. One by one, the Klingon battle cruisers powered down weapons and adjusted position, no longer threatening but not quite departing either. They'd become observers rather than aggressors, content to watch how this played out. The Cardassians didn't follow suit. Klingon honor is admirable but strategically foolish. Gold ducat to all Cardassian vessels. Maintain targeting solutions. If the biological weapon demonstrates hostile intent, fire at will. Hostile intent. Riker spoke up from the Enterprise bridge. He just saved 800 people from Borg assimilation. He could have destroyed this entire fleet 10 times over and chose restraint every single time. What more proof do you need? Proof that he can be controlled, Dukat responded. Proof that he won't decide one day that his morality supersedes our sovereignty. Proof that he won't impose his version of justice on civilizations that don't share his values. Superman felt those words like a punch to the gut because they echoed arguments he'd heard 1,000 times on Earth. The fear that tomorrow he'd decide he knew better than everyone else. The worry that absolute power would eventually corrupt absolutely. The concern that good intentions paved roads to tyranny. "You're afraid I'll become a dictator?" Superman said quietly. "That I'll decide I know what's best and force everyone to comply. I understand that fear because I share it. Every time I act, I ask myself if I'm helping or controlling. Every time I intervene, I wonder if I'm respecting people's autonomy or taking it away." He paused, letting the words settle. "But here's the truth. I can't prove I'll never abuse this power. I can only show you through my actions that I'm trying to be better than my worst possibilities. And if I fail, if I become what you fear, then you have every right to stop me however you can." Troy's voice came through on a private channel to Picard. "Captain, he means it. There's no deception in him. He genuinely believes others have the right to stop him if he crosses moral lines. That level of accountability from someone with his power is extraordinary." The Romulan ships began charging weapons. Sella had heard enough philosophy. Inspiring speech, irrelevant. The Romulan Star Empire does not gamble the security of trillions on one being's self-awareness. "All ships, prepare to fire on my mark." "Belay that," came a new voice, deep and resonant with authority that made even Sella hesitate. On every view screen, a figure materialized. Humanoid, dressed in elaborate robes that seemed to be made of living starlight, with features that shifted between species too quickly to track. The presence was unmistakable to anyone who'd encountered it before. "Q," Picard breathed, equal parts relief and dread. The omnipotent being smiled with infinite amusement. "Hello, mon capitaine. Did you really think I'd miss this entertainment? A Kryptonian in Star Trek. It's delicious, absolutely delicious." Q snapped his fingers and suddenly stood on the Enterprise bridge, examining Superman through the view screen like a curious child with a new toy. "And you, my dear boy in the cape, are causing quite the ruckus. 3 empires ready to go to war over you. The Borg retreating in confusion. 800 freed drones who shouldn't exist. You've been in this universe for 6 hours and already broken half its rules." "Who are you?" Superman demanded. "I'm Q. Omnipotent, omniscient, and far more interesting than anyone else you'll meet in this dreary galaxy. And you, Superman, are an anomaly that shouldn't exist. Your presence violates several fundamental laws of dimensional mechanics. Yet here you are, flying around, saving people, making speeches about accountability." Q circled Superman's floating form with exaggerated interest. "The question is, what do we do with you?" Q snapped his fingers and reality bent. Suddenly, Superman, Picard, and every commander from every surrounding ship stood together in a featureless white void. No ships, no stars, just an infinite expanse of nothing with 20 military leaders and one omnipotent being who looked far too pleased with himself. "What is this?" Sella demanded, hand instinctively reaching for a disruptor that was no longer there. "Q, return us to our vessels immediately." "Oh, relax, Commander. Your ships are fine. Time isn't even passing out there. I've simply created a neutral space where we can resolve this tedious standoff without anyone doing something stupid like starting a war." Q materialized an ornate chair and sat, crossing his legs with theatrical flair. "Now then, let's have a proper trial. I do so love trials. Picard's expression hardened with recognition. Q, if this is another one of your tests of humanity, it's not about humanity this time, Jean-Luc. It's about him. Q pointed at Superman with dramatic emphasis. The man who doesn't belong. The alien who's too alien even for a galaxy full of aliens. I want to know if this universe can handle someone like Superman. More importantly, I want to know if Superman can handle this universe. Superman stepped forward, cape settling around his shoulders. I'm not interested in your games. Send everyone back. This doesn't concern you. Q laughed, genuinely delighted. Oh, but it does. You see, your presence here tears at the fabric of dimensional stability. Every second you remain, the walls between universes grow thinner. Eventually, they'll collapse entirely, and creatures far worse than you will come pouring through. Beings without your restraint or morality. Monsters that make the Borg look like charitable organizations. Q's smile faded, replaced by something almost serious. So yes, this very much concerns me. The gathered commanders stirred uneasily. Gul Dukat spoke first, his politician's mind already calculating angles. If Superman's presence threatens dimensional stability, the solution is obvious. Remove him. Permanently. How? A Klingon general gestured at Superman. We witnessed him absorb a Borg cube's detonation. Our weapons are ineffective. Even if we combined our firepower, we would accomplish nothing except his annoyance. Then we contain him, Sella suggested. Transport him to an uninhabited system. Isolate him with subspace damping fields. Monitor him until a permanent solution emerges. Superman's eyes flashed with restrained anger. I'm standing right here. Stop talking about me like I'm a problem to solve. But you are a problem, Q interjected, standing and walking through the gathered commanders like they were furniture. A fascinating problem. You're too powerful to ignore, too moral to fear, and too alien to integrate. This galaxy has rules, Superman. The Prime Directive, the Temporal Prime Directive, treaties and alliances built over centuries, and you represent the ultimate violation of all of it. One being who can impose his will on entire civilizations without consequence. I would never. But you could, Q interrupted. That's the point. You could decide tomorrow that the Cardassian occupation of Bajor is immoral and end it single-handedly. You could enforce peace in the neutral zone by threatening anyone who fires a shot. You could become judge, jury, and executioner for an entire galaxy, and no one could stop you. Q's voice dropped, losing its playful edge. Good intentions, Superman, are the favorite weapon of tyrants. Picard stepped between Q and Superman. That's unfair. Superman has shown nothing but restraint since arriving. He submitted to our scans. He endured weapons fire without retaliation. He freed Borg drones when he could have simply destroyed them. His actions demonstrate exactly the kind of moral character this galaxy needs more of, not less. Spoken like someone who hasn't watched enough civilizations crumble under the weight of their saviors, Q replied. The road to tyranny is paved with rescued civilizations who forgot how to save themselves. A Klingon commander slammed his fist against empty air. Enough philosophy. Q, you brought us here for a reason. What do you propose? Q's smile returned, sharp and dangerous. A test. Superman claims he can be trusted with absolute power. Let's prove it. He snapped his fingers and suddenly, a holographic display materialized, showing the planet. Green continents, blue oceans, clearly inhabited. This is Batara 4. Population, 4 billion. Peaceful agricultural society. No warp capability. No space travel. Completely unaware the wider galaxy exists. Classic pre-warp civilization protected by the Prime Directive. Picard's face went pale. Q, no. Whatever you're planning. 20 minutes ago, Q continued, ignoring the interruption. A plague started spreading on Batara 4, engineered, lethal, designed to kill 90% of the population within 72 hours. The survivors will be primitive, scattered, set back 10,000 years in development. Q looked directly at Superman. I didn't create the plague. One of their own scientists did, trying to cure a different disease and making a catastrophic mistake. It's spreading through their water supply right now. In 3 days, 4 billion people would be dead. Superman's fists clenched. Then we stop it, warn them, give them the cure. That would violate the Prime Directive. Data's voice came from nowhere. Q apparently broadcasting the conversation to the Enterprise. Contact with pre-warp civilizations is prohibited. Interference in their natural development is forbidden, even to save them. That's insane, Superman said flatly. You're telling me you'd let 4 billion people die to preserve some rule about not interfering? Picard's voice carried the weight of decades wrestling with this exact dilemma. The Prime Directive exists because we learned through terrible experience that interference, even benevolent interference, often causes more harm than good. Species need to develop at their own pace, solve their own problems, or they become dependent on outside help and never reach their full potential. Superman stared at Picard with something approaching betrayal. You can't be serious. These are people, living, breathing people with families and dreams and futures. And you'd let them die for philosophy. It's not philosophy, Sailor said coldly. It's survival. The Prime Directive prevents powerful civilizations from imposing their values on weaker ones. Without it, chaos. Without it, empires dictating morality to the powerless. Exactly, Q said, clapping his hands together. So here's your test, Superman. You have the power to save those 4 billion people. You can fly to Batara of 4. Use your heat vision to sterilize the plague. Use your super speed to distribute a cure and be home in time for dinner. You could be their savior, their god, their answer to prayers they don't even know they're praying. Q's eyes glittered with cosmic amusement. But if you do, you prove everyone here right. You prove that you can't be trusted to respect sovereignty, that you'll impose your morality whenever it conflicts with local law, that you're the benevolent dictator everyone fears. Superman looked at the holographic planet, at 4 billion lives hanging in the balance, and felt the weight of impossible choice crushing down on him. Save them and prove he was the threat everyone believed, or let them die and betray everything he stood for. This isn't fair, Superman said quietly. Life rarely is, Q replied. So what will it be, Superman? The hero who saves everyone? Or the alien who respects boundaries even when it costs lives? Choose quickly. The plague doesn't wait for moral deliberation. Superman closed his eyes, every fiber of his being screaming at him to act, to save those 4 billion lives however he could. In his universe, the choice would be simple. Fly to the planet, cure the plague, deal with the consequences later. But this wasn't his universe. These weren't his rules. And for the first time since arriving, he understood what Picard had been trying to tell him from the beginning. Power without context was just violence waiting to happen. "You're right," Superman said, opening his eyes to meet Q's amused gaze. "I can't make this decision alone. It's not my place." He turned to Picard. "Captain, what would Starfleet do in this situation?" Picard's expression showed surprise, then respect. "Starfleet would observe, document, hope they find their own solution, and if they don't, we would mourn them and learn from the tragedy, but we would not interfere. Even though you could save them, especially because we could save them," Picard said firmly. "The moment we start deciding which civilizations deserve saving and which don't, we become tyrants. Well-meaning tyrants, perhaps, but tyrants nonetheless." Superman looked at the Romulan commander. "What would your people do?" Sella's answer came without hesitation. "Evaluate strategic value. If B'Etar of Forfar offered resources or tactical advantage, we'd save them and claim them as protectorate. If not, we'd let nature take its course. Sentiment is luxury the Star Empire cannot afford." "And the Klingons?" The general's response was thoughtful. "We would honor their struggle. Death in battle against plague is still honorable death. To rob them of that struggle would insult their warrior's spirit. But if they requested aid directly, we would grant it. Honor demands response to those who ask." "The Cardassians?" Gul Dukat smiled coldly. "We would save them, then ensure they understood the debt owed. Salvation has price. They would serve Cardassian interests for generations, grateful for our mercy." Superman absorbed each answer, seeing the galaxy through their eyes. The Federation's idealism that sometimes felt like abandonment. The Romulan pragmatism that reduced lives to calculations. The Klingon honor that respected struggle even unto death. The Cardassian exploitation that turned rescue into chains. 4 different philosophies, 4 different empires, none of them wrong by their own standards. "Q," Superman said slowly. "You said this plague started 20 minutes ago, which means in my universe, where this choice would be mine alone, those people would already be saved. I'd have acted on instinct, cured them, moved on to the next crisis." He looked at the holographic planet with profound sadness. "But I'm not in my universe anymore. I'm in yours. And maybe that means learning your rules before I start breaking them." Q's eyebrow raised. "Are you saying you'll let them die?" "I'm saying I don't have the right to make that choice unilaterally," Superman clarified. "If the Federation's prime directive exists, there must be reasons. History I don't know. Consequences I can't predict. Species who are helped and destroyed by that help." He turned to Picard. "Captain, I'm asking for your guidance, not as someone who has power. As someone who wants to use it responsibly, what should I do?" The white void fell silent. Every commander present stared at Superman with expressions ranging from shock to respect to confusion. Q's theatrical amusement faded, replaced by something that might have been genuine curiosity. Picard stepped forward, studying Superman's face, searching for deception or manipulation. Finding none, he spoke with careful precision. "The Prime Directive allows for one exception. If a natural disaster threatens to destroy a civilization entirely, and if intervention can be achieved without revealing our presence or advanced technology, Starfleet captains have discretion to act." He paused. "A plague spreading through water supplies could be stopped by introducing neutralizing compounds through natural weather patterns. They would never know we were there." Superman's eyes widened with understanding. "You're giving me permission to save them, but only if I do it their way." I'm giving you a framework, Picard corrected. A way to help that respects their autonomy and development. They'll believe their scientists found the cure. They'll take credit for their own salvation, and they'll continue growing as a species without becoming dependent on outside intervention. Q slow clapped, the sound echoing through infinite white space. Brilliant, Jean-Luc. Absolutely brilliant. You've just taught Superman the most important lesson in this galaxy. How to save people from themselves without them ever knowing they needed saving. He snapped his fingers, and suddenly reality shifted. Everyone stood on the Enterprise bridge again, back in real space. Ships surrounding them exactly as before. Consider your test passed, Superman. You demonstrated the one quality I needed to see. The wisdom to ask for help even when you don't need it. Superman didn't waste time with responses. He simply nodded to Picard and flew toward Batara 4 at speeds that left sensor readings struggling to track him. Within minutes, he returned, his expression peaceful. "It's done," Superman reported. "I seeded their atmosphere with compounds that will neutralize the plague through rainfall. Their meteorologists will notice unusual precipitation patterns, but nothing they can't explain with natural phenomena. The plague will be gone within 48 hours. They'll never know I was there." Sella's voice came through on hailing frequencies, grudging respect evident. "Superman has demonstrated restraint and willingness to accept guidance. The Romulan Star Empire withdraws territorial claims. He may remain with the Enterprise until his dimensional displacement can be resolved." The Cardassian vessels powered down weapons. "Cardassia concurs. The biological entity has proven itself rational. We will monitor, but not interfere." The Klingon ships began departure maneuvers, their general's voice booming with satisfaction. "The warrior Superman has earned honor through wisdom. May his battles be glorious and his victories legendary. Kapla." One by one, the assembled fleet dispersed, crisis averted through demonstration rather than combat. Q remained on the Enterprise bridge, studying Superman with uncharacteristic seriousness. "You know what you did just now?" Q asked. "You proved that absolute power doesn't inevitably corrupt, that someone can hold the strength of gods and still choose to kneel before mortal wisdom. It's rare, vanishingly rare, and it's exactly what this galaxy needed to see." Superman looked at Q with tired eyes. "Can you send me home, back to my universe?" Q's expression turned regretful. "Eventually, perhaps. The dimensional walls are healing but slowly. Forcing you through now would tear them completely. You'll need to stay here for a time. Days, maybe weeks, until reality stabilizes enough for safe transit. Then I'll stay," Superman said simply. "And while I'm here, I'll learn. About the Federation, about the Prime Directive, about how to be a hero in a galaxy that doesn't need one." He looked at Picard. "If you'll teach me, Captain." Picard smiled, the expression warm and genuine. "It would be my honor." Q vanished with a final snap, leaving only his voice echoing through the bridge. "This isn't over, Superman. Your presence here has consequences rippling across dimensions, but for now, enjoy a visit to our little corner of the cosmos. Try not to break too many laws of physics." Then he was gone, and the Enterprise hung alone in space with the most powerful being in 2 universes standing quietly on its bridge, ready to learn what it meant to be strong without being feared. 3 weeks passed before the dimensional barriers healed enough for Superman's return. 3 weeks of learning Federation history, understanding the delicate balance between help and interference, watching Picard navigate crises with words instead of force. He studied the Prime Directive not as restriction, but as wisdom earned through centuries of mistakes. He trained with Worf, testing Klingon combat philosophy against Kryptonian strength. He discussed ethics with Data, exploring what it meant to be powerful without being human. He helped Dr. Crusher develop treatments for former Borg drones, using his microscopic vision to map neural pathways no scanner could penetrate. When Q finally returned to open the rift home, Superman stood on the Enterprise bridge one last time, cape draped over his shoulders, looking at the crew who'd become unexpected teachers. "Thank you," Superman said simply, "for showing me that strength isn't about what you can do. It's about what you choose not to do." Picard clasped his shoulder. "You taught us something as well. That power and goodness aren't mutually exclusive, that someone can hold the strength of stars and still choose humility." He smiled. "Live long and prosper, Superman. And if you ever find your way back to our universe, the Enterprise will be honored to have you aboard." Superman stepped into the shimmering rift, golden light surrounding him as dimensional barriers parted. He looked back once, meeting Picard's eyes across realities. "Maybe someday," Superman said. "But next time, I'll knock first." The rift closed. Space returned to normal, and the crew of the Enterprise stood in silence, knowing they had witnessed something impossible. A collision between universes that somehow made both better for the meeting. In the captain's ready room later, Picard recorded his final log entry on the encounter. "We met a being of godlike power today, and he reminded us why the Federation endures. Not because we have the strongest weapons or fastest ships, but because we believe in something greater than force. We believe in potential, in growth, in the idea that wisdom matters more than might. Superman came from a universe where one man could save the world. He left understanding why sometimes the greatest heroism is letting people save themselves." Captain's log supplemental. "The dimensional anomaly has closed. All systems normal, and somehow, impossibly, we're better for having met the impossible." End log. Somewhere in another universe, Clark Kent landed in Metropolis with new understanding burning in his heart. He'd seen a galaxy that feared heroes and learned why. He'd met people who proved that strength without wisdom was just violence waiting for excuse. And he'd discovered that the greatest power wasn't in his fists or heat vision. It was in knowing when not to use them. 2 universes. 1 lesson. Some collisions don't destroy, they illuminate. And in the space between stars, where reality bends and possibilities multiply, the echo of that lesson rippled outward. A Kryptonian who learned restraint, a Federation that learned hope, and proof that even across impossible distances, different worlds could teach each other what it meant to be better. The Man of Steel had entered Star Trek. And both universes would never be quite the same. Live long and prosper. More voyages await.